Change is an inevitable part of life, and it can be challenging, especially during significant transitions. But what if we could navigate these changes more effectively? Today we'll explore 3 essential steps to deal with change grounded on the Kübler-Ross change curve to help you move through transitions with confidence.
I'm Irian Ulofse, an organizational research and retirement readiness specialist living in the picturesque village of Vermont in Hermanus, South Africa's stunning Western Cape province. Having over 30 years of experience guiding individuals and organizations through life's most significant transitions, I'm now on this journey myself. Join me as we explore how to make the most of this new chapter, turning it into a period of growth, joy, and contribution.
Welcome back. If you've ever felt lost in a wave of change, whether it's retirement, career shifts, or personal loss, you're definitely not alone. Many people struggle with the emotional roller coaster that comes with transitions. Before we talk about the typical change cycle we experience when confronted by change, and discover how understanding it can empower you to accept change rather than resist it, I would like to share a personal story to provide context. My wife Tilba passed away from colon cancer a number of years ago. The day she was diagnosed, we sat in one of those typical hospital tea rooms, having tea while we awaited the surgeon. We were still in shock. "This is a bummer," Tilba eventually said. "But," she said, "the doctor mentioned that colon cancer has a very high recovery rate, so let's see what they can do." However, further tests revealed that the cancer had spread to her liver, marking her diagnosis as stage 4. Both of us felt overwhelmed and stunned. Tilba, who seldom struggled with what to do next, started to ask questions like, "Why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to us? Why now?" My heart broke for her. All I could do was to share my perspective. Over the years, I had come to understand that life is not fair or unfair. It is not good or bad or great or out to get us. Most of us believe that things should be a certain way, that life should generally be good, and that bad things should not happen to us. We believe that we can control life, and when things do go wrong and not as we had planned, we spend too much time and emotional energy to understand why this is happening to us, and that we get stuck in the situation. We can't move on or act. I believe that life is what it is, regardless of our mindsets, values, or attitudes. We assign meaning to our experiences, labeling them as bad or unfair. I asked myself the same "why me" question during a rough patch years ago, only to arrive at the answer, "why not me?" What makes me so different that bad things shouldn't happen? It was only when I accepted that life unfolds around us like the waves of the ocean, regardless of what we think or do, that I could move past the paralysis of denial and anger and start exploring options. This does not mean we aren't sad, terminally ill, or traumatized. Rather, instead of wasting time trying to understand the why, we can focus our energy on healing, finding solutions, and integrating the experiences. When we learn to ride the waves, we often emerge from the storm wiser and psychologically and spiritually stronger. As I shared these thoughts with Tilba, she began to challenge me, asking questions, agreeing with some points, disagreeing with others. But then I realized she wasn't challenging my views. She was simply trying to make sense of her situation. The next morning she turned to me and she said, "I have cancer, and I know I'm very sick, but I'm still alive. I'm not dead yet. I won't let this cancer define me or dictate how I spend the time I have left. We still have things to do and places I want to see. I'm going to fight this, Irian," she said. I need to understand the process and the planned surgeries, but I will fight. Over the 4 years we had left together, we continued to travel and create memories in between all her treatments and 2 big surgeries, as we love to do. Although she eventually passed away, she didn't stop living before she actually died. Have you ever found yourself navigating an emotional roller coaster when faced with a major life change? You might have been moving through what is known as the Kübler-Ross change curve, a model that outlines 5 common stages we often experience: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. You may not have been fully aware of it at the time, but reflecting on these emotions can help you make sense of your journey through change. Elizabeth Kübler-Ross was a Swiss-American psychiatrist and an author best known for her groundbreaking work on the emotional responses to grief and loss, introduced in an influential book on death and dying. She developed this model based on her work with terminally ill patients, observing how they emotionally process their situation. Let's break down the stages of the Kübler-Ross change curve and see how they apply to both big and small transitions in life. The first is denial. Initially, we may resist the reality of the change, feeling overwhelmed or in disbelief. This is a natural response. Our brains crave stability, and the unknown can be frightening. The second is anger. As the reality sinks in, feelings of frustration or anger can arise. This stage is completely normal and is often directed at ourselves, others, or the situation. Acknowledging this stage is vital for moving forward. The third is bargaining. In this phase, we might find ourselves making deals with ourselves, our others, or God, in hopes for reversing the change. If I just do this differently, maybe it will go away. The fourth is depression, and here the weight of the change can feel heavy. It's essential to allow yourself to feel these emotions. Remember, feeling confused or sad is not a sign of weakness. It's a natural response to change. And finally, we reach the last point of our journey, and that's the point of acceptance. This doesn't mean we are happy about the change, but we recognize it as part of our reality and can begin to adapt. Although Elizabeth Kübler-Ross originally identified these stages in the context of confronting death, they have since been recognized as applicable to any significant change in life. This model outlines the emotional journey all of us experience when faced with change, regardless of its scale, whether small adjustments or major life shifts. We often find ourselves traversing through these phases, including what's commonly referred to as the valley of despair, where feelings of hopelessness can emerge. Importantly, this change curve isn't linear. We may move back and forth between the phases or oscillate among them. It's completely normal to feel like you're regressing. Allow yourself that space. Now that we've covered the stages of change, let's focus on the 3 key tips to help you move through this change and reach the top. Firstly, acknowledge your emotions. Don't shy away from your feelings. Embrace them. Whether you're feeling anger or sadness, acknowledging these emotions are normal, and it's the first step toward healing. Secondly, seek connection. Don't navigate change in isolation. Reach out to friends, family, or support groups. Sharing your experiences not only helps lighten your emotional load, but also allows you to gain insights from others who may have faced similar challenges. Thirdly, focus on growth. Change often presents unique opportunities for growth and self-discovery. As you navigate the stages of the Kübler-Ross curve, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? This simple yet powerful question can shift your mindset from one of fear and resistance to curiosity and exploration. As we wrap up today's discussion, remember that navigating change is a journey. It's not the destination. By understanding the Kübler-Ross change curve and applying these strategies, you can transform your approach to life's transitions. Reflect on your own experiences with change. How can you acknowledge your emotions, seek connection, and focus on growth during your next transition? Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to our next conversation.